This is my pathway, and in this video, I'll show you how to lay out and install pathway lights. I got this Luminary RGBAI Smart LED pathway lights for my installation, and I'll have the links in the description and the comments below. Step 1. Measure out your pathway. I measured the long side first and used a measuring tape and got it pretty close to the curve. I know it's not exact, but it's close enough for the layout. My first measurement was 218 inches. Then I did a short side and got about 165 inches. So as you can see, I have 218 inches on this side and 165 inches on this side. Total, I have 2 of these boxes, which has 6 each, so I have 12 lights together. So I added my total length, which came to be 383, then divided by 12, since I have 12 of them, and it's about 31.9 inches apart. So I rounded up to about 32 inches. So I'll need to space them out 32 inches for them all to be equally spaced. Now I have to decide how many I want on each side. So what I did was I took 218 inches divided by 32 inches, and I got 6.8. So since I can't use 0.8 of a light, I rounded up to 7. So I'm going to use 7 lights on one, and then 165 divided by 32 inches, I got 5.15. So that means I have 5, which is perfect. 5 plus 7 is 12. So I have 12 lights together, which makes 7 and 5. Step 2. Use your lights and see what all's included. Mine came with this nice manual. It also comes with this stakes that screw in the bottom of the light. The stakes were nice because they were actually made out of metal, so they won't easily break over time. Then there's this adapter that controls the lights, and it has a 3-pin female connector on one end and a 2-pin male connector on the other end. Then there's the power adapter that has 2-pin connector that gets connected to the other wire. It also comes with this nice remote, which uses 2 AAA batteries. And finally comes the light itself. They have a plastic top, but the body sounds like it's also made out of metal, which is great because that means it will last longer, especially here in Florida in high heat. The light also has 2 connectors with 3 pins, one with male and one with female. Each one of these wires is about 4 feet long, so if this is in the middle and when you're adding more wires, it's about 8 feet apart from one light to the next, which gives you plenty of length for your project. One of the lights only has 1 wire, and this is because you use this light either at the beginning of your path or at the end of your path, depending on how you're doing your path. Step 3. Assemble your light if necessary. On mine, I just had to screw in all the stakes into the lights, and that was it. So I'm gonna put mine over here at the start of my path. And you just basically push them in like this, and that's about it. So I messed up on my math a little bit. Because I want a light on each corner starting out, I'm actually going to have 6 spaces instead of 7 lights, but 6 equal spaces. So I need to do this divided by 6, which is 36 inches instead of 32. And then same thing on this side. It's actually 4 spaces for 5 lights. So 165 divided by 4 is 41 inches apart. So it's pretty close, but not exactly. So I'll see how that plays out. Next, I laid out all the lights out on the grass and started untangling the wires and connecting them. I used the measuring tape to make sure my spacing was somewhat accurate per my calculations and installed them into the ground. So I measured it again, and I'm at about 102. And 102, I have 3 more spaces. Divided by 3 is about 34 inches. So I'm going to space these at 34 and kind of blend them in. That way it accounts for a little bit of error that I have in the math. So I'd say it's pretty equally spaced, and kind of hard to tell that it's a little smaller on that side and a little bigger on the outside. And even if you can, it's still fine. So now I have to do that small area. So I continued to lay out the small side by installing the lights on each end first, and then spacing out the other 3 lights as equally as possible. The next thing is the wiring. So you have a female and male connectors right here. All you got to do is just plug them in like this. You can see they go all the way, and then screw this nut on. And over here, I'm not really going to dig it in since I don't really have anything growing, but basically just tuck the wires in here somehow. I might have to dig them in actually. Next, I went through the connections and the rest of the lights together and tried to hide the wires the best that I could on the shorter side. Then I plugged the power adapter to the cable that had the controller on it. You will see that this one has 2 pins on the cable and 2 pins on the power adapter. Now I'm going to take the power supply. I have a plug behind this bush, and that one right here is going to plug into this thing over here. So I'm going to put it over here and hide this over here. Because this thing is too small, I decided to use one of these because the outlets are spread out further apart. And this thing is great because it's a smart Wi-Fi to where I can set a timer for these lights to turn off in the middle of the night and turn on when it sunsets. So this thing is perfect, which I believe the app has also that feature. But since I have this, I use this for my Christmas lights and it was already out here, I'm still going to use it instead of like I guess I could use a regular power strip for outside, but this works well. So unfortunately, these power supplies are way too big and I can't fit both of them. As you can see, it just nearly misses it. So I wish either this thing was a little wider or these were a little bit smaller. But what I do have is one of these adapters or converters, but since I don't really have a ground here anyway, I can just put this on like this and then install this like this and basically make it work. And then I can install the plug into there. The nice thing is I can independently control each one with this app. I'll go through this app in the other video in more detail when I download it. And here's what that looks like plugged in. Again, I plugged in all the lights together. And then finally we plug this one, the last light on, like this. There's my controller hiding right here in the bushes. I'm gonna keep it there. And then I'm gonna tuck these all under the bush over here, like that. Final step. So I'm gonna use these tools to dig up a little trench right here down the path to hide these wires. Let's see how that turns out. It's mostly to hide it from my grass cutters. Not too bad. Now I just gotta do that a bunch more times. And finally, this is what they look like. So I have this remote right here. You can see I have different modes: auto mode, dim, then there's RGB, WW, and CW. So I'm going to go through all of these and demonstrate what each one does. So this is the other white, which looks more like yellow. Then if I turn it back to white, I can dim, lower the brightness to the point of where I turn it off, and then increase it all the way up. And then if I hit mode plus or minus, it goes through different variations of colors. So the first one blinks red, then yellow or orange, then yellow, then green. If I hit next, then it fades from red into orange and into yellow. And then if I hit next again, then it blinks with different colors. So then there's the rainbow that flashes. And then there is this that changes colors also. And then this is just rainbow without changing. And we're back on white. And that's it. If you got this far, hit that like button and check out this next video.